The way AI is moving, the change is, I would put it as tectonic.
Let's talk about people who are inexperienced or starting their careers or people who are already experienced. Which one of these categories are going to have bigger impact or both of them are going to have same impact?
What has taken them or got them here is probably not going to take them to the next stage.
People say that synthesizing things is much more important than the knowing things. The AI has a lot of abilities in terms of it can summarize text, numbers, anything. It can also analyze data. And in fact, now it is also able to orchestrate with the agents. Now, given all of this, what is really left as a human skill?
A human intervention, as we call it, HITL, human in the loop, that is not going away anytime soon.
One of the things which comes out is that people have to have certain skills which are very specific to humans. One of the things could be critical thinking. How important is that?
So tool obsession is something that people have to get away. You need to learn how to orchestrate.
When AI is kind of providing all the information, how do you build your personal moat? We are living in a world dominated by AI. And as a professional, we have anxiety and doubts what is going to happen to my career or to my position. So, is there a way that you can still build your career in this age where AI is supposed to take over a lot many jobs? In this episode, we are going to talk about how can you build a strong career in the AI age. Welcome to a brand new episode of Future Forward, a podcast series by Techcanvass on artificial intelligence, business analysis, and product management. So let me introduce today's guest, Hemraj Sadhnani. He has been building real AI for over 30 years, long before it was trending on slides or social media. He has scaled enterprise AI systems, processing nearly 1 million documents a day, and worked across machine learning, Gen AI, and LLMs with a strong focus on responsible, human-in-the-loop design. Recently featured at Microsoft Build 2024, he's here to talk about what this actually means for building a career in the age of AI, as I introduced in the beginning. Yeah, welcome to the show, Hemraj.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. So let's start by understanding how did you get into this space so early on?
So it was a chance entry, I would say. I aspired to be a civil engineer. I met a gentleman and he said, civil is turning down. Probably you should look at digital technologies. And that's how I got into this field. From digital, I kind of pivoted into software. And since then, I have done pretty much everyone. The progression has been much like any other software engineer in this industry. Started with code development, graduated to a lead, to a project manager, a program director, and now managing products.
Great. So let's start with the questions. So first question is, whenever a new technology or new platform comes in, like cloud computing came, people take it as it's a new skill. But AI is very different, right? So the shift which AI is going to bring in, how people are kind of either underestimating or not understanding the extent to which their career is going to be affected.
So, the way AI is moving, the change is, I would put it as tectonic. It's not even changing gradually. It's like it's changing overnight. By the time you sleep and get up, things have changed in the world. And earlier, when we looked at AI, it was more of building things in pockets. It was automation. But today, AI is pretty much everywhere, building things. And what we should now really be focusing on, not building, but how do we synthesize these things, build things that AI or stitch the things that AI is doing into solutions. And the mindset is going to be more of synthesize versus build.
Correct. So let's talk about people who are inexperienced or starting their careers or people who are already experienced. Which one of these categories are going to have bigger impact or both of them are going to have same impact?
Both are going to have same impact. The challenge today is with AI opening the doors, you have a tool which even beginners can use, and carve out things, build things without experience. However, there are dangers, right? People don't have experience. There is a lack of judgment. While it can build, they may not have the judgment of building it for production or building it for the right purpose. For people who have already been in the industry, they have grown with a certain mental model. They what has taken them or got them here is probably not going to take them to the next stage. Now, if they catch on onto the AI, yes, they could also uh, build a career out or pivot their career for themselves. But if they kind of think that the existing technologies or what they have learned over a period of time, if they stick to the current mental models, is going to be a huge challenge for them. And with experience and age, we have our muscle memory that pulls us back to what we do. But unless people look at AI as a game changer, it's going to be a challenge for both of them. The only thing that will help both these both the beginners and experienced people tide over this is curiosity.
Right. So one related question, like pre-AI era, people who knew a lot of domain, a lot of things, they were like exclusive people, right? There was a lot of premium on that. But now knowing things is like it's available. Information is available at the click of a button or a prompt. So now people say that synthesizing things is much more important than the knowing things. What is your comment on that?
That is exactly right. So while the information is available, and I can go to a Chat GPT or Gemini and ask for information, it will give me a lot of information. Much like how I do a Google search, it gives me pages and pages of Google search. So earlier, extracting the knowledge either from a Stack Overflow or a Google, it required a certain expertise. Here, what you will need is the judgment, the knowledge, and the ability to use this information in the right way, which is synthesizing. So AI is going to give you a lot of answers. It can give you pieces of information that are real, that can be used, but how do you stitch them together? You need to look at what is the applicability. You may have to look at what is the context where it is required. So, for example, the Chat GPT may throw you an answer that may be specific to, let's say, a US or a Europe context. But if it has to be used in the Indian context, then you may have to apply that knowledge. So, while the information is abundant, how do you synthesize it? How do you use it? How do you apply the context where it is required? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Without the context, the information, much like before, is going to be there but may not help you solve business problems.
Yeah. Just to help viewers understand it a little more. Let's say take any example for a business analyst or a product manager or a project manager. How would they use this synthesizing in the real life?
This is a very interesting question, and we are all dealing with this. So earlier, if PM had to size a project, right, the person would probably bank upon the knowledge that the person had from experience. The person may look at some case studies which are there in the organization, right, and try to build an estimate around it. Today, if you go to an AI could probably throw you a bunch of things, about the domain, about the solution that you're trying to deal with. You may probably be able to run agents. One that goes out, brings you knowledge. It may go out and brings you certain estimates. It may go out and probably look at your company knowledge and get you information. The person needs to know how to orchestrate these aspects. What we are now calling is agents, right? Either manually or automated, and then stitch what is important in the context of what the requirement is. So I may have features that the AI would have recommended, but in the context of what I am building, are these features critical, important, ROIs? So those are the things that a person may have to deal with. On the BA side, again, the earlier, if I had to get into a project where the domain knowledge is absent, today the BA has an opportunity to at least get something, go through it, read, and be prepared to ask questions when meeting the stakeholders. Right? The BA can be better prepared if not have all the knowledge, to ask the right questions so that when you are assimilating or eliciting information, you know what you want and you get what you want.
Right. Now, the AI has a lot of abilities in terms of it can summarize text, numbers, anything. It can also analyze data. And in fact, now it is also able to orchestrate with the agents. Okay. Now, given all of this, what is really left as a human skill?
So yeah, again, this is an interesting take on AI. But every engine, when it kind of gives this response, it says the information is AI generated, human intervention is required. A human intervention, as we call it, HITL, human in the loop, that is not going away anytime soon. Because the information that comes, while it sounds so real, it may probably not exist, or it may be syntactically correct, but it may not apply to what you're doing. So, kind of going and checking this response, whether it is right, whether it is correct in the context of things. So, looking at and then even identifying if the information has any flaws, right? So this is going to be super important. You cannot trust the AI response and say it's good, I'll simply use it. And there have been incidences in the past where people have referred to cases in the courts which were kind of generated by the AI and they were not real. So the context in which you're going to use, a human may have to intervene, check before the knowledge can be used.
Correct. So one of the things which comes out is that people have to have certain skills which are very specific to humans. One of the things could be critical thinking. How important is that?
It is still important. So earlier, the critical thinking was applicable in kind of trying to ask or trying to talk to your team or work with your team in a way where you would orchestrate. Today, the critical thinking is flipping over. The orchestration is happening, but you may still need the skill to kind of check for facts, check for details. Even so let's say if I go and build a feature list from AI, whether that feature list is practically implementable, because AI is going to give you tons of features. How does it work in your product? Will it be applicable to your product? Will it be applicable to the audience of your product? Right. So a feature may be there, but then taking that decision whether I need to build it for myself or whether I should just leave it, that still requires this. The critical thinking has gone to validating, verifying, kind of making sure it is right before using it.
Correct. So this is one of the things which obviously has a lot of importance in today's world. Another thing which people often think about is the creativity. Right? Many people say I'm not creative, but creativity is not just about designing things, right? So in a BA or a product management space, what does it actually refer to?
So this is kind of paradox, I would say, because if you look at software I would not say is just engineering. It's also an art, because when you're building a software, you are building it for an end user, and there have been a lot of these things that have evolved over time. Empathic, designing for the end users, where you are talking to them to see what they need. So it's no more a software that runs on the screen and you're getting a job done. People are actually sitting with users, understanding their pain, right? So there is a compassion to some extent there, and then building it. So creativity is not just about art in that sense. It's also about what solution are you offering to your end users? Does it solve their day-to-day problems? Does it make them use the system more efficiently? So I would say the BA and the PMs have been already doing it. The only change that comes now it is also asking the right questions to the AI. Right? When you are going to the AI, what typically is called as a prompt, you have to be clear. You have to have again, one is curiosity. You have to be clear. What is it that you're going to ask? So creativity is now more in framing questions, asking for information so that it helps you in your day-to-day job.
Yeah. So this is also this is second skill which is extremely important, problem framing, And that is where creativity comes into picture. The third thing would be the collaboration, right? As a professional, if you have to deal with the stakeholders, either internal or external, that becomes very, very human kind of a skill.
Right. So, in fact, just day before yesterday, I saw a website. This is in the news now. A website has come up that says, we need humans to help the AI.
Okay.
Right. So humans are not, just kind of going away. AI needs humans. Right. Like I said, the information has been given by the AI, but you need to collaborate with the stakeholders. You need to run those requirements to the stakeholders. You have to understand if this will be useful to them. So a person is still required. A collaboration is still required. You still need to talk to the stakeholders, talk to your management team, talk to your developers before you kind of say that this is what I'm going to build. So yeah, collaboration, even compassion, right? As a part of this, because again, when you build something, you have a team. In the software, a project manager may have to, sometimes put a release, delay the release, looking at the team, saying that, the team is burning out. It is probably better to delay a release by a week than to, put something now and have issues, with the team already kind of burning out.
Correct. So earlier you touched upon empathy. Okay. So just to kind of help viewers understand a little more, can you give an example? How does empathy come into picture?
I can throw a couple of examples. One is a personal experience. Before that, I'll come to a very standard thing that happens. When we work as a team, we have systems and policies where the person has to, be in office, and an attendance record as a data may reflect that a person is probably late. But if you apply empathy, if you sit with the person and talk, the person may be going through a challenging personal, situation. It could be, a person, family member being hospitalized, or there may be issues. If you work with this person, if you help him, kind of, and which I have done in the past. So, adjust the time, allow the person to work in hours where they can do both. It not only helps the person deal with the situation better, it also, kind of gives you the productivity that you're expecting versus trying to push the person and, coming on time where none of these are possible. A personal example, in my early days, a team which was working with me, and the example that I gave of burning out, we were actually doing a release and we were almost like burnt out. And I was still pushing the team to, kind of give the deliveries. I got an intervention from my HR saying that you probably need to, kind of slow down, right? And I said, why? The customer needs a delivery. Yeah, but the team probably is not in that mindset. You should go and talk to your team. I said, okay, let me go and talk. And when I did that with an open mind, and I really saw that the team was struggling, and then they giving them that 2 or 3 weeks eased a lot of pressure. Yes, client management was required, which we did, but that team kind of lost it with me for almost as long as I was there. And versus, I had seen a bit of an attrition when this episode was going. So empathy is something that needs to be there. You cannot drive a team without empathy.
Yeah. Another thing which comes into mind is complex problem solving. When the problems are really complex, I think humans.
So I was reflecting on this just a couple of days back. The India and US trade negotiations. While if you look at the trade negotiations, it's more about data, right? The trade deficit. India selling something, US selling something, but the impact is far-reaching, right? And then that is the reason why probably it has gone for a year. The impact is on the economy. The impact is on the social. If you're going to open certain segment, how is it going to impact? And these are things that AI may not be able to tell you just by looking at the data. So this is where a human, again, it's a complex problem. It cannot just be solved by looking at data. It needs to be examined and this is where again humans come in.
Correct. So now So we have discussed about the skills. Now there are other aspects related to skills. That is, should a professional like a business analyst, product manager, or others, they should be looking at this as upskilling, or it's the time for reskilling.
So interesting. This is an interesting take on AI now. It probably requires both at the same time, right? If I have to upskill, so previously, if I had to, kind of upskill, I would, look at courses that are within my domain or in the line of area that I'm working, whether I'm a BA or a PM, and I would do courses, and probably I'll get to the next stage. And it was through, a defined structure or a defined set of steps that I would take. Today, even that is changing. With the way things are moving, if I have to upskill, I have an opportunity to use AI, right? I can build a personal program, I can have a personal mentor and upskill, but to use AI, I still need to reskill, right? So it's unless I do this, I probably cannot do this. I can still go the traditional way, but then if I don't go this way, I am probably not leveraging the AI for my own use. So both of these are now going to run in parallel simultaneously. You cannot look at one in isolation. And pivoting earlier, we could do pivoting maybe a year. So I used to do that. Technology, let it mature. Probably look at it after a year. Today we don't have that luxury. As the technology comes, I may have to use it, look at it, and if I have this AI as a tool which I can orchestrate as agents, then probably I can reskill and upskill at the same time.
So there are certain literatures which are talking about 30% digital fluency rule. Do you believe that that is a workable thing?
Yeah, 30% probably is probably also a number that may change soon, because the way things are happening, and it's not just about consuming the digital artifacts passively, right? The way things are happening. If I look at ChatGPT, when people saw there was initially a talk that it does plenty of things, and people went and asked certain questions and they were happy with the outcome, but they left it at that. However, a new stream popped up called prompt engineering. It's how do you orchestrate Chat GPT to give you what it wants, what you want. So if you now have to do this, you need to spend time. So you need to work with it. It's not just hearing somebody, I got a better outcome, or telling another person, give me this outcome. The person will give you, but you could yourself, and it's there on the mobile. You could yourself do it. So this 30% probably is going to be more, and it's more of experimenting with curiosity.
Correct.
So you keep talking to the AI, see what it does. Prompt. In fact, we have gone from writing prompts ourselves to telling the ChatGPT to write prompts for us, right? So again, that also requires experimenting. That also requires curiosity. So it's limited to what you can think now, rather than what is available to me. AI has practically become a commodity.
Yeah. So this 30% digital fluency rule basically talks about 30% effort we should spend on learning digital and AI tools. What kind of tools and AI or digital tools we are looking at?
So this would based on what you're doing. So if I am a software engineer, probably there is a whole stack of tools but tools obsession is uh, earlier. Again, you were fluent with a tool. It was a skill which you could use. Today, that fluency is not required in a skill. Yes, you still need the common knowledge. You need the basics. You need that experience, but learning or using a tool is no more it's not going to have a huge learning curve. You can learn it pretty quickly using AI. So tool obsession is something that people have to get away. You need to learn how to orchestrate, how to bring this. Earlier we spoke about synthesizing, right? Here also it's the same. So the 30% that you're going to spend, learn, synthesize, implement, check it out, experiment, keep doing it till you have reached the goal that you wanted to reach.
So you very rightly said the tool obsession. I keep it hearing from the people who come to us as learners that it is still there. So how do you kind of tell them that you should move away from the tools obsession or focusing on the tools? You should start focusing on the skills which you have just talked about.
Right. So this in fact also happens in real life. So when we have interns coming in, the only skill that they have is the curriculum that they have come with, and the question is how do I use? And the thing is step back, right? You need to kind of first understand what is the outcome that is required, right? And based on the outcome, choose the tools. It's much like a common example that I use. If I have to go from point A to point B, right? How will I go? And typically answers that I get, you do this, you do this. I said nobody's asking me why I want to go there, right? So, for example, if I have to go from point A to point B for a marriage, right? I may have a family and I may want to take a car. Doesn't matter that it takes long, right? If I am going for an interview, or to meet somebody, right? Obviously, I want to be kind of well dressed, and therefore I cannot use a public transport, right? But if I'm just going for the sake of going, then probably I can use, or if time is of essence, reaching faster, I would probably choose the transport that takes me there faster and plan accordingly. So tools is a mechanism to take you where you want to go. So you should not be obsessed on the tool. You should be obsessed on how do I make it happen, right? Or what are the things that is expected out of me, and then how do I make it happen? And in that process, I may have to use tool A, B, C, and that doesn't matter.
So we talked about the skills, upskilling strategy, and also not to focus too much on the tools. Now let's talk about careers. Okay, so there is a trend, or that certain terms which are coming up is portfolio careers and fractional roles. So first, what are these, and why this trend now?
So the trend has started with the startup age. When a startup company goes through, they may need certain people in the to start off the business. And for example, somebody who's a CTO, somebody who's a CFO. Now, if one they cannot afford. Second, uh, uh, a CFO or a CTO would not probably get into startups so easily. But then, if the only reason I need these two profiles at the start is to have a direction, is to have a guidance, right? And with the AI becoming a commodity, like I said, the time to deliver or execution is kind of fast, but what is missing is the direction and strategy, right? So now people are looking at options where the senior leadership probably says that why do I want to look at one and be tied down to one? Probably I can spread my knowledge or share my knowledge with multiple. Execution anyways is happening with AI. Execution is happening faster. There are enough things that are happening on the execution side, but where is the strategy? Where is the thinking? Where is the direction? So all of the things that are really required to build a team and deliver. So that is where these portfolio and even business domain, right? I have seen people who are experts in the BFSI segment, the banking, finance, and they bring a lot of business knowledge, experience, right? They can couple this with technology, AI, agents, and deliver things faster. Execution is anyways, like I said, is kind of happening much faster. So they can convert an idea quickly into either a startup execution or a startup with certain base product MVP, and so this is something really which is happening. I think what was the other second question you said?
Fractional roles.
Yeah, so this kind of then ties up into the fractional also. So rather than kind of doing it for one company, right? Probably I can apply it in multiple places and kind of spread it out.
Is there a likelihood that this can also come, the fractional part, can also come for BAs and product managers?
Oh yes. Earlier, it is it used to happen in the organization. There have been many places where you have a BA who's kind of looking at multiple projects. Right? They may have junior people working with them, but they are essentially looking at multiple projects or a larger portfolio. that same thing now, instead of these juniors or people that may be working with you, you could be now having AI agents. Again, the fact that people are still there doesn't go away, but you can now use agents, right, to get some of the research work done, some of the work that is automated and can or repetitive, I would say, going searching Google, getting information, preparing a report. An agent can do that for you, right? So you have the opportunity to look at multiple projects uh, without compromising on the quality.
Correct. So now taking into account these trends and skills, the first important question about careers is that so any career, I think one of the important part of having a successful career is that you build a skill or build something which is kind of it has a moat, right? People know that you are specialist on that. Now, but in this in this area, in this field rather, when AI is kind of providing all the information, how do you build your personal moat?
Yeah, that's a dilemma that all of us. I would say not just people entering the industry, like as we spoke about the even the experienced people feeling that the moat is going away because knowledge is available, it's there. People can build reports very quickly. The moat, I would say, is more in curiosity, right? Uh, it's building that strength for yourself where you can use the curiosity and the experimentation to kind of build this mode for your own self, whether it's through a domain, through a skill. And then we have been talking, I if I can orchestrate an army of agents, right, when it is needed, right, people are still going to need me. I can't kind of rely on one skill and say that this is my specialty. There was a time it was required. It may still be required, but not for long. So if I can be curious, experiment, and have an army of agents work for me, it again the mode probably will not be lasting long if you're looking at a solution or a skill. But then if you can build it for your customer when they need it, I think this is going to be the biggest mode for you.
And just a related question. So, how should now people look at building their careers? One is, of course, curiosity, but how should they look at? So, obviously, also understanding that what is demanded in the industry right now. Look at that, and how do they merge? Meaning, how do you keep on upskilling on a scale which keeps them relevant in the industry?
So one question with this question, one thing that just struck my mind for the people who are stepping in the industry. Earlier we had this a program that we have for all interns, freshers, as we call them. They go through a series of learning, hands-on experience, right? Induction program, a complete curriculum, how or even the hands-on experience, giving them tasks that probably they can do without having a major severe issue with the outcome should they not be able to do it. So they had the capability of learning with experience, making decisions, going wrong, and then understanding what went wrong and reflecting and then learning. With AI, if the entry is kind of getting is moving to the next stage, right, where we don't really need people for the repetitive task, getting that experience is going to be difficult for them, right? And that's going to become a bigger challenge when you are entering the industry. You don't have judgments, you don't have experience, but then when you're stepping in, you will be required to do a bit of this, right? So here again, what everyone will have to do is experiment. We spoke about not consuming the tools or the technology passively, hands on. If you have read something, if you feel it is linked to what you're doing, experiment, try. Your portfolio is not going to be just for experienced people. It's what you have done. For people who are entering, it could be proof of your thinking. What are you doing? How are you implementing AI, even if it is at your personal level?
Okay, so now it's time for rapid fire round. First question: one skill every BA must double down in the next 1 year or 2 years.
Asking the right questions, question framing.
Okay. One bad habit or one habit which professionals should stop immediately.
Consuming technology passively.
Correct. One AI skill that is overrated.
So it is more of you should know the science or technology behind AI. You don't need that. It's a commodity. Just use it.
So the last question in the rapid fire round: one AI skill that is underrated.
Curiosity. You should be curious about how AI works and how it can work for you.
Okay. Now the last question before we close is: if you have to give one piece of advice to all the professionals who are now starting up or in the middle of their careers, which can help them build a career which is going to be long lasting.
So work with AI. AI is speed tracking, fast tracking the thinking process, and you have to use it to your advantage. And be curious because if you're curious, you'll be able to use AI. With AI, it is not the smartest person who's going to win. It's the person who's curious and can get things done.
Correct. So, if after listening to this podcast, people will become curious to know a little more about the career, so where they can reach you?
They can reach me on LinkedIn. I have a profile by the name Hemraj Sadhnani, and happy to kind of answer questions, or if people need any inputs, happy to share with them.
Thank you so much, Hemraj. This
Thank you,
was
Abhishek.
perfect talking to you, and especially on a very, very important topic.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it helps people who are listening to this.
Certainly, it will. Thank you so much. I hope this will help you in building a career that is going to be long lasting. Thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.